because people will be watching this. So I will, while Ricardo does his thing. Welcome, everybody. We're testing out the live feature. We are all, well, we're not new all to the media game, but to this landscape, we certainly are. And so we're going to play around. We're trying to go live with you guys. I'm going to tonight try to steer my growth in learning how to do what they call the producer aspect, see if I can learn how to pay attention to you guys in the chat and be helpful looking stuff up. Rick, we've got Vince disappeared, but you guys know Rick and Vince, the wizened ones that join us. Yeah, ET knows ET. So while Ricardo does PR, we're going to cut to just hanging out. Vince is back with us. Vince, we were just telling everybody, because this will be set up as a recording, even though we're testing live now, what's happening here. That Vince, as you can see, is on the road, but still dedicated to getting knowledge out to humanity. And he has pulled his ass over to cover some topics with us here this evening. So we're going to take about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, and just kind of hang out while we get this PR going. The system Riverside suite that we're using to do all of this. We don't know how to integrate it yet with YouTube to where we can get a link ahead of time to get out to everybody. So we're going to generate a link and hang out for 5 minutes. As soon as Ricardo sends it to me, I'll do some PR while y'all chat, and we can see if we can get a few folks to talk to tonight.
Well, you know, we need karaoke lyrics or something. That's
right. I tried to do, you know, I got a little mood lighting at least, you know, for us here. We can get it. We're ready for stories. All right, Ricardo.
Oh, don't get me started on that now.
I will still need about 5 minutes more.
Okay.
Because I have to create the thumbnail, the title, and all of that.
Are you going to do that?
Live.
Okay, because
yeah.
I see we're live. It popped up on my YouTube for the Institute. So I can start running with this for PR.
Sure, because if I don't do the correct thumbnail when I post it, it will show random from the YouTube.
Sure, okay. Crap. So I'm going to run with this on X. Live now. Live now, all caps. Come learn and watch us learn. Okay, that's up. Now I'm going to spread that around several different places, so I need another few minutes if y'all just want to shoot some shit.
I can do that pretty well.
Hey, I posted in the studio chat a link that's called sciencedirect.com, and it has a really interesting article about Cahokia Mounds and the connection to the Mayan and Aztecs and how that they made corn, and they used limestone salts in the production of corn. And one of the interesting things I found at Cahokia was a limestone cell, and I took a picture of it close up this week and posted it on the photo bucket link. But the limestone celts are interesting because they're just so unusual. I mean, you'd think that if you're going to make a celt, it would need to be hard stone material to cut something that was very like wood or something difficult to cut. But they actually made celts out of limestone, and these were a Mayan and Aztec trait, or a very well-known trait. So if you click on that Science Link article, it's got a description of what they were doing in the Mayan and Aztec culture, and this was the same thing happening at Cahokia Mountains.
So were they using it like a metate, grinding the corn?
Yes, I think it was part of grinding the corn and making it into a product that could make things like tortillas.
Yeah.
And you know, it was part of the process, and they used the limestone because it actually changed the properties of the corn to be
particularly
able to,
the hull, the hard casing on the outside.
Right. And the article talks about what it changed. There was like 4 specific properties that it changed about the corn to make it more palatable, and actually helped with the production of tortillas.
So it's not new to have a Mexican restaurant on every corner.
Right.
I tuned back in just in time for the joke. Okay, okay, boss. So I think producer trainee over here has got the PR out. Any of our friends that we've got us an X post up, and then I, of course, have got several other locations I share in. And there's Sarah spreading the word for us.
Yeah.
So I would say if we, again, just want to chat friendly for about 5 minutes before we start going official and pulling stuff up, because then we'll lose anybody that's going to join us over the course of the next 10 minutes. We've got
to share the link, and I'm ready.
all right, you send me all the links. I'm going to remember to bounce back and forth between the two chats because I have to pay attention to you guys and what you want to see. And I got to pay attention to our friends here, which, I could probably do on my phone. That'd be easier, wouldn't it? That way I could leave your chat up and I could get here in the live chat on my phone. I'm learning, folks. Fucking see, you're seeing it happen. All right, sorry, guys. So PR is done, and I think we're another 3 or 4 minutes and launch into our first topic. I think we all agreed on what that would be, unless I missed it.
I forgot.
Bat Creek, I think, was what was proposed.
Oh, yeah. That was a good one. Do you want to start on this one, Ricardo?
Vince,
or?
I think, guys, I think Ricardo, he sent me a link to Bat Creek Stone, Vince, in case you were in and out for that. That was one of the topics that we were going to talk about for a minute. Unless, of course, since you are, for those that can't tell, Vince is on the side of the road. He has pulled over to make this happen. These guys are warriors. You know, you're going to see why we're putting this crew together. Vince, is there anything particular you wanted to like knock out real quick since you are the most imposed at the moment there?
Well, Back Creek is really interesting. How Emmert found it, and then he had been probing this mound in Tennessee, and apparently hit it with a probe rod, and it has an impact from the probe rod on the Back Creek Stone, and he was fired from the Smithsonian. After the episode at Mount Pisgah,
right?
In I think around 1887, and then this Back Creek Stone, they say they accused him of forging at first, and then they said, oh well, maybe not, maybe he did find it, and they accused someone else of planting it, but there was really no evidence. I mean, I personally think it's a real artifact and an important pre-Columbian proof of writing on the stone, and that it's a real artifact. I think that was left there. But
I'm going to pull it up, guys. I'm going to pull it up so you can keep talking.
Go ahead and do that. Yeah, the Smithsonian displayed it for what, close to 100 years, something like that.
Yeah, I remember from your presentation, Vince, that the Smithsonian dude, the official archaeologist that found it, they kicked his ass out because he had found something that he wasn't supposed to, that was breaking the narrative, right, is shorthand of that. And here we go. We're going to test my abilities here. All right, Ricardo, so I've got Bat Creek pulled up. Hopefully this will not do what it did to you. And let's share it with the guys and see what happens. How are we looking?
See the narrative, the picture's there, bottom middle.
So the stone itself, this is what we're calling the Bat Creek Stone. Let me see what I can do here, guys.
I think you can click the stone if you make it bigger.
If not, I'm gonna zoom in. If y'all want to keep going, let me see where my Control Plus is, and we can probably do something there.
Yeah, zoom in that way. That works.
So the Smithsonian, when they did decide to display it, when it was accepted that it was a real artifact and it had some kind of writing, they said, oh, well, this must be Cherokee, and therefore sometime after 1819. And they displayed it that way for nearly 100 years until somebody said, you got it upside down. And they turned it up the other way, and, well, it's Paleo-Hebrew that way.
Really?
Yes, really. So they gave it back to the Cherokee, thinking it should go be in their care under Ned.
Yeah, I
so
see
if
here
it is an out-of-place artifact, they found a place to hide it.
Go ahead, Vince.
I was going to say around 2006, I had a chance to photograph it at the Smithsonian, and so I do have some photos of it that I could bring up and share. And it's made of catlinite or red pipestone, and it's engraved on one side with the lettering, like Rick said, Paleo-Hebrew / Cherokee writing, and it's a it's a real artifact. I think it's, some people say it's like Jehovah written on there. I don't know for sure what it translates to.
Are you
But
guys getting? You're not getting images, are you? Are you getting images?
I sent you a very good one, Jason, to the chat.
Thank you. Going back to the chat, then. Got it.
Just click the link. It's a high definition one.
Right. Got it. What's going on, Rue? Good to see you, bud.
Hi, Ru.
Okay, so studio chat, latest link from Ricardo, right? Got it. Now let's go back to Riverside. Let's move over to share, and let's go to screen, and let's collect the, was that, oh, there's two Back Creek inscriptions, you morons. Okay, let's go with that one. Eeny, miny, miny, mo, share. Look at that.
There you go. It says something in probably Old Hebrew, very Old Hebrew.
So
Close enough to Hittite that it might even be Hittite. But it doesn't really resemble Cherokee to my notion.
No.
Two of the characters look a whole lot like whole bread, but only two of them.
And Colbrian is, tell us just what, real quick, what's that?
That's one we talked about last week, Welsh. The old
Yeah, I just meant for all our friends that may not have been here last week.
They're called
Let's
Hebron?
relive the moment.
Yeah, Ricardo, you want to just give him a sentence on what that is?
They're called Hebron?
Correct.
I think the best person is Rick or Vince to explain it to us.
Well, I guess I didn't get the message across last week. Colbrin is an ancient alphabet that probably traces back to before 600 BC from ancient Troy, found its way all the way through the Mediterranean and ended up in western British Isles as Colbrin.
And then into this stone into the middle of the Americas.
Well, not this one, because there's only two characters that resemble Colbrin.
Oh,
There's
okay.
all these characters except one resemble very closely Paleo-Hebrew. And the one that doesn't, that could be as simple as, outlying ways of writing.
This is interesting on the stone. I see over here what look like groove markings. Okay, so the story now with this thing in front of me is that it is or is not fake, and where is it currently stored?
It is currently in the care of the Cherokee Nation in Cherokee, North Carolina.
Okay.
Um,
So they believe it's real, it would seem then, huh?
well, they believe it's a real relic, but they're still holding to the story that it's theirs,
Right.
even though it doesn't really look like Cherokee writing.
And can they
Cherokee
read it?
syllabary is pretty well known.
So they say it's theirs, but they can't read it.
Well, yeah, NAGPRA, because of the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, this thing came out of the mound. It was given back to somebody who lived in the area of the mound. And that's as good as it gets.
And tell me, anyone considered that this might just be a piece of a larger stone?
I'm pretty sure it is, but the rest of it wasn't in the mound.
I tried, when I look at it, I tried to turn it around and see if it made more
I'm
sense.
trying to play devil's advocate with it too. I don't want to go too hard at that. If the Cherokee obviously are recognizing it, then we have despite the original Smithsonian attempt at cover up by accusing Emmert of fakery, if the natives are calling it an artifact, the only thing I could pick apart, I've got, if you guys see, I've got pottery behind me that has some sort of unknown script on it. It's not Cherokee, it's not English, looks like a bit of both with maybe some Arabic. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
but when I look at it and I look at that, the only thing I could pick apart is it would have to be a piece of a bigger object because the way that the writing is on there, you know. And again, I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. It looks like something that was almost added after the fact, almost like, okay, if that was a bottom piece of a pottery and the artist was just etching their name on it or something, you know, it's so scattered about just with this little fragment we have. That's the best I can do to try to pick it apart a little bit. But I don't really want to keep going down that road, but I know to me it's weird, and why I'm doing that is because we just established the Smithsonian said, you know, they were trying to cover this up, said it was a forgery. That does still seem to persist today, does it not? That there's still sort of a big quabble when you ask any mainstream dude about this particular stone and what it means.
Well, not just this one, but you're right. They stick to their story. Once they have a story, they want to stick to it, even after you can prove them wrong.
But tell me one thing. Why is this one considered to be real and the other thousands are considered to be a fake? Because the Cherokee said it was, or it was before? Because this one also wasn't found in undisturbed soil by an archaeological team and so on and so forth, or was it?
Yes and no. Some people would consider probing even a disturbance. I don't. But the idea that it was planted seems to be unprovable. But we know that narratives are written to prove their point, not to prove the truth. So in this case, the Cherokee have possession, whether they believe it to be theirs or they're just taking care of it until this dies down a little bit, is outside my purview. I don't know the answer to that one. I'm not in contact with them, at least not yet. This stone is important. Its message has meaning. It's not just random scratches on a stone, like some of them actually are. When you find a stone out in the field that's been plowed or disc. This is purposeful. And I don't know of any way to truly date it. If it were ceramic, there is a way to date it, kind of. But this stuff, not so much. I wish there were.
Vince, you still there? What material are we looking at then, if we're not looking at ceramics?
Yeah, I'm here.
It's pipestone.
Sorry, I got disconnected for a second. But yeah, it's pipestone. It's catlinite or pipestone. And yeah, it would be a soft material. These are clearly carved letters in the pipestone catlinite, and this is about 3-4 inch long by 1.5 inch wide. Just it fits in your hand.
Right.
I had photographed it at the Smithsonian, and one side, the opposite side of this, I got some photos of, and it has a lighter color in some areas and darker in the others. So I mean, it's possible it was heated at some point to cause the color changes. You can see on one side it looks like it's darker red than the other.
So you got real close to it.
Oh yeah, I touched it. I mean, I took pictures of it and held it.
Okay.
And it's a real artifact. I'm sure, in my opinion, it's completely authentic. And
have you seen the quote?
I mean, I looked at the
quote that Steve shows.
What?
I'm going to put it again.
Which had it last? Go ahead.
Engraved with marks that experts at the Smithsonian originally interpreted as letters of the Cherokee syllabary. So it says that it was the academics that recognized it as Cherokee.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
And he says more. What is he saying more? About 80 years later, some scholars claimed that the characters were Paleo-Hebrew. This caused a storm of controversy over the true origin of the stone because the later explanation. Who said it was Paleo-Hebrew? Some scholars.
Well,
Nicola, I believe his name was.
I believe you're right.
An argument for migration of Mediterranean peoples into Tennessee during the Roman time period. but most believe it's Cherokee.
And there's a link on.
Go on, go on.
There's a
That's
link
my department.
online, and if you search for the Emmert, it's called Emmert's Rum, and it's a University of Tennessee link that describes this artifact, and it has letters from Emmert to the Smithsonian documenting his involvement with this artifact up to the point where he was fired. And it talks about, it actually shows the date that he was fired by his cousin, Cyrus Thomas, from the Smithsonian. And it said he was fired for misconduct. And then, it talked about this artifact and how he found it, and then had just a lot of documentation and copies of the Smithsonian papers discussing the find and how it was regarded at the time.
They hired him back. Is that am I correct, Vince? They fired him and they rehired him, right?
Him back. Right, because he was a cousin of Cyrus Thomas, so they hired him back, and so that's pretty good.
They said, well,
when they accuse him of misconduct and then hire him.
He did that. Those pieces were real, but he was drunk. He won't do it again.
Yeah, it kind of tells me they were shocked at the beginning. We've seen from Vince's education on the Garden Creek site the way the Smithsonian can kind of play around, at least back in those days, with the way they would treat these artifacts that was blowing this narrative out of the water. And we've learned from Rick why this narrative was so important. I mean, you start to think that charters that were given to explorers to come over here and claim land, when you start to tell the truth of what was here, some of those very claims of which nations are based on prove null and fucking void, and that's things I've learned from you guys about why these topics are so important and why the Smithsonian would fire somebody so they could say it was fake, only to then rehire him back later and use his opinion plenty more on what's true and fake, right? So they admitted this is fake by doing, admitted it's real by doing it, right? It's like watching modern day political game play out. You can see it in the receipts.
At that time, it was part of the doctrine as written by Major John Wesley Powell, that if you as an archaeologist or any researcher connected with the Bureau of Ethnicity found anything that kind of looked like writing, it isn't. Just ignore it because
it fucking isn't. We don't need that problem.
Right. And that was just a declaration. It had nothing to do with science, and he didn't have a degree.
That's right. They just declared any writing to be fake, and they came up with excuses about how it was planted or carved by him and then refound the next day. I mean, just all kinds of excuses they could think of, anything that they could throw at it to try to discount it. And it's not fake. I mean, it's totally real, but they worked very hard to cover it up by making these stories up, and it was purposefully, they were falsifying it. They were making it try to seem like it was fake, just so that people wouldn't study it and people didn't want to know. Because of the land claim thing, if there was evidence of ancient tribes here, then there would possibly be a land claim. They didn't want that.
Yeah, and Rick had pointed out to us even that, in the original, the Spanish and all those claims, that if there were any hint of Christianity, right, if there were any hint of a certain level of structure and organization, basically anything more than raw savages and hunter and gatherers, then they could not claim the land, So from the beginning, there had to be these reports heavily biased on just fucking savages, But then you go in and read these firsthand accounts, and you realize, and you find these artifacts, that what you were watching play out was a little more political theater than it was real searching for our history.
Yeah, it was purely, with a very few exceptions of separate organizations that is separate from the government. It was strictly to bury any evidence.
Right.
And I'll point out one organization that used to try to save stuff, and it's called the American Antiquarian Society. It still exists, but it does not have the same spirit it once had.
But tell me one thing, Rick or Vince or Jason. Considering that I've seen a fair amount, not even close to what the amount that exists, but a fair amount of stones with inscriptions, and these inscriptions are not so far out from some of the symbols I see on the other stones. What would be the best example to show why is this real, considered by academics, and is the other one fake? What do you think would be the best example for us to watch?
Well,
Um,
McCulloch had written in that. Sorry, McCulloch wrote in his article that there were some carbon dates associated with this, of components that were found around this, and apparently they were ancient carbon dates, and they're in that Emmert. I mean, the Emmert's rum article talks about those carbon dates. So he proved that these were ancient carbon dates. I don't remember what they were, but it talks about it in that article.
Emmett's rum, R-U-M?
Yeah, look up Emmert's rum, and it's a link about the Bat Creek stone, and it has the carbon dates in there from what was touching the stone when it was excavated.
Do you remember the numbers, or we have to wait?
Yeah, I'm not getting anything. I'm getting rum
Look it up
ads.
under University of Tennessee.
Okay.
Under University of Tennessee or University of Kentucky.
Got it.
It's called Emmert's Rum, EMMERTSRUM. Anyhow, yeah, if you look on there, there's a good amount of data, and so he was arguing in favor of the authenticity because of the ancient carbon dates associated with this.
Yeah, Ricardo, let me know if you find anything. Using his name and rum, I'm getting nothing but liquor, no matter if I put Tennessee, Kentucky, or whatever after it. Or
Okay.
the United Emirates airline, apparently, also.
Okay,
Yeah.
so tell me again, what is the name?
Emmert,
Emmert's
is
rum.
that two M's?
EMMERT.
Yeah. And try it with run instead of rum.
Okay.
Emmett Run, Creekstone, Bat Creekstone.
Yeah, Bat Creek stone.
Bat Creekstone.
John Emmert, Demon Rum, and Bat Creek excavations in the Smithsonian Archives, perhaps? That's what I
Okay.
got.
The Ohio State University, is that
Yeah,
it?
try that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm at.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's it.
It's
All
a
right.
PDF.
Yeah, if you,
Yeah, send it over,
see if you
Ricardo.
can
I
share
got
that.
you. Yeah. I got you.
Okay, I'm going to send you the link to the PDF.
I mean, I found it on my phone, so it's just easier. You shoot it I've got our private chat open on the studio.
Okay, I'm going to send it now to there.
Now, folks that weren't here in the beginning, we are educating ourselves on how to sign roles and do this thing effectively live. So we're not bashful about you just watching us figure it out together here.
I send it to the public chat in case anyone wants to see it. So you find it there, just copy paste.
Sure.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, if someone could pull it up
Right.
and share the screen and we can go through it, I think it would be helpful.
Yeah, I got you. I'm Ricardo added a step. I'm messing with you, boss, but hang on 1 second because I do have to copy paste.
Yeah, you were on the private chat and I sent it just to test you.
You did. I'm over here, but I'm highlighting everybody's comments. I made this fucking mouse, guys. I made it like the size of half the screen for a presentation I did last night. And as it turns out, when this thing translates, you still see a normal mouse size. But I have a mouse that's like, okay, I got it. There, bam. Copy. All right, here we go. Now let me go back over here to Emmert Bat Creek. Right, paste. Now we're moving. It's still very big. I gotta change this. Okay, paste. All right.
Steve already sent the link to Discord.
Enter.
Everybody's working.
I've got it pulled up. We are on it. Thank you, Steve. Let me get over here to share now with you guys successfully, and I've got it pulled up. So I'm gonna stop sharing real quick. All right. Are you seeing paperwork or Bat Creek?
Yes, paperwork.
Okay, perfect then. All right.
See the paperwork.
I'm gonna zoom it in some for you here.
There's another link on the studio chat. If this doesn't work, so you just have to scroll down and see what you can see in there.
All right.
Yeah, so John Emmert, Demon Rum in the Back Creek.
John Emmert, Demon Rum, and Pat Creek. Now that is that's like a Hunter Thompson title right there. Okay, so what year was this? What are we reading? 1987. We had a McCullough
Can you zoom
sign
in
it.
so the text occupies the whole screen?
Biblical archaeologist, the summer of 79. I was born the summer of 79. Where are we going? The intriguing Bat Creek inscription was found in early February 1889 by John Emmert in a mound along the Little Tennessee River. Okay, so we're going to break in, and I'm looking for... Oh, we should read this. Hang on. Conversations with the above individuals indicate there is a belief among at least Brose, Chapman, Faulkner, King, and Polemus that the inscription is a forgery. This view has never been published and contradicts the recently published statements of Marshall McCluskey, himself an authority on 19th century forgeries, that despite a superficial similarity to Hebrew, the stone is a genuine Cherokee inscription, in quotes, Biblical Archaeologist, summer 1979. The view that it is a forgery stems from evidence and letters Faulkner had collected from the Smithsonian Archives. The Bat Creek inscription came up informally at a 1980 conference at the Smithsonian, attended by Brose, Faulkner, and Smith, at which time Faulkner gave the others his interpretation of the evidence which he had seen. Now, in a phone conversation in 1981, and again in 1987, Faulkner indicated Emmert had been fired for drunkenness in 1887 and was very
eager. It was drunk, didn't I say?
Very eager to get his job back. He believed Emmert probably forged the inscription on the stone in order to ingratiate himself with his boss at the Smithsonian, Cyrus Thomas. Faulkner also indicated that Thomas had received complaints from boarding housekeepers about Emmert's personal habits, in particular his tendency to lie in bed with his muddy boots on, apparently drunk out of his gourd. Like all juicy stories, no pun intended. Who is this dude? This one gets better as it is retold.
Put the text bigger, Jason.
The version... there. Okay, so like all juicy stories, no pun intended, this one gets better as it is retold, and versions of it that I've heard from the above individuals and others they have spoken to include Emmert was habitually drunk and unreliable and was probably drunk or hungover and perhaps even hallucinating when he found the stone. Well, now, you gotta, I don't know, hallucinations, you gotta be, now they happen when you're in withdrawals from alcoholism, but you got to be in withdrawals, and when you're in withdrawals, you're not out of bed at all. You'd be in bed with your muddy boots on, screaming because there's shit on you, and there's people that are dead talking to you, hanging on for your life. He would not be, but drunk definitely. Okay, number 2. Emmert was repeatedly carried home dead drunk and left in bed with his clothes and muddy boots on, so he might have been going through some DTs. Emmert was Thomas' cousin and was kept on despite his lack of productivity, only because of his family ties. He forged the inscription on the stone because he had few real specimens to turn in. Number 4, Emmert was known to have turned in other forgeries, so the Bat Creek stone may well also be a forgery. Number 5, the stone was forged not by Emmert, but by agent John Rogan. According to this version, Rogan had been fired, these fucking people, had been fired just 3 weeks before the stone was found and planted it either to confound Thomas or to frame his rival Emmert. Man, they are writing like every plot you can think of, aren't they?
This is a telenovela from South America.
Yeah.
Well, you're looking at the Wild West. I think what we are getting, if nothing else, in why it's worth going through. You're getting a look at, the way this was business. This is what was going on back then. Number 6, very suspicious circumstances surround the finding of the stone. Number 7, mound exploration procedures were so sloppy at the time that there is no telling where the stone came from, even if the printed story is correct. The stone was struck by a steel prod, which may have altered its appearance. I'm not sure what that does with anything. All of the above are supposedly documented in the Smithsonian Archives records of the mound survey. Apparently, there's a lot of apparently and hopefully and supposedly and if and what the fuck is what. Go, Ricardo.
Jason, can we extrapolate here that when this stone was found, it was already broken for a long time? So someone divided the stone and separated, or what are your thoughts on this?
I agree.
Yeah, I'm going to scan it with everybody. I mean, from here on in, because what you're getting is a further breakdown, right, of what they were up to. Talking about who was given personal credit and why. So supposedly we've got some carbon dating in here somewhere. The presence of an unquestionably Cherokee inscription presents a puzzle difficult to solve. Go ahead, Vince. Keep scrolling.
There's some carbon dating further down in here.
Okay. The unpublished letters. Okay, so we're going to go through some letters between men. They've got this stuff. This is wild paper. I'm going to go back and read this, dude. I mean, this is
It's entertainment.
This is a snapshot right here, bro, of what was going on in the real world.
A century after the fact, though.
Yeah, but still, it's funny, but true. Not saying what side is right or wrong. So here we have them. This is the exact size of the stone. So here we have sort of an original, copy. Emmert's sketch of the stone, as in Thomas's 1890 book and the 1894 report, the two vertical strokes now present are absent. Okay. I don't know what they're talking about here, but
it's the two rows above the first letter in the that we see.
They're saying the drawing, doesn't represent what's okay. Carbon datings.
Somebody said those were absent, and I remember at the Smithsonian, they said those had been added later on, by a scientist who tried to scratch it.
Yeah, to see, to get a sample or some shit, or
to see how it's. What is the relevance? First of all, I think what is the relevance? Because I think it's very sacred to these people of the pipestone. What is pipestone and what they used it for?
Well, you are correct, Ricardo.
Yeah, pipestone was known as bloodstone, and I mean, so it was sacred. Yeah, it was a sacred mineral. I mean, they thought of it as like the blood of the earth.
You were saying, Rick?
No, he's exactly right.
As well.
So what he's describing here, as I'm just scrolling while you guys talk, really it's like the notes of going down and what he was finding.
So they actually did pipes from this stone?
Right. These are the interesting things.
Yes. Yeah.
So he talks about how they found copper bead, a small drilled fossil. Skull. Yeah, read that. That's really important.
On the same level with numbers 1 and 2 were found 7 other skeletons, all lying side by side with their heads to the north, and all of them very much decomposed, as were numbers 1 and 2. These 7 skeletons were lying almost touching each other, the skulls being in line with each other. Okay. A little singular that were all lying with heads north, but number 1, whose head was to the south. I found no relics of any kind with any of the skeletons except number 1. Immediately under the skull and jaw bones of skeleton number 1, I found 2 copper bracelets. Here we go with the copper. 1 engraved stone, a small drilled fossil stone. So harken all the way back to Denisovan technology here, drilled fossil stone, another copper bead, a bone instrument, and some small pieces of polished wood. So this is all going to be under one individual, obviously the main individual, the burial. The ground about the skeletons was wet and muddy. The pieces of wood were soft and colored green with copper rust off of the bracelets. I could squeeze the green water out of them by pressing between my fingers. It sounds like he was there. The copper bracelets appeared to have been rolled up in something that crumbled off of them, taking them out. They were apparently as large as my finger before the outside crumbled off. The engraved stone was lying just under the back part of the skull. I punched it on the rough side with my steel rod. So here's the steel. Okay, so we read earlier, somebody was saying that because this had been hit with a steel rod, that was one of the 7 or 8 reasons they listed for forgery or problems. I punched it on the rough side with my steel rod in probing before I came to the skeletons. The other side of the stone is exactly as it was taken from the skeleton at the bottom of the mound, about 5 feet deep. Okay, and then we have a sketch that follows.
Right, so that's
Go ahead, Vince.
that's the most direct story about the discovery. And then later on, they talk about the carbon dating, I think, of those wooden pieces.
Okay, I'm going to keep scanning. Here they are talking. This is now more letters talking about Emmert and was he or was he not
Drunk.
So has been identified as Hebrew and Cherokee. We've discussed that it has a weird looking couple little Hebrew things to it, but that doesn't make it that at all. Okay, so they're back and forth there. I am going to try to see if I can see anything on these carbon dates from somewhere. Now we're talking about before Columbus.
While you're looking for it,
Go ahead, please, sir. Go.
I will bring up another case of where oak wood was permeated with copper molecules to the point of preserving it in similar conditions, wet conditions. In Upper Michigan, in an ancient mine, giant boulder. I think it was called, what was it called? The Okanagan boulder? Is that the one, Vince? Okanagan? 8,000 pound piece
that's right.
Piece of pure copper, and it was held up by oak cribbing, and it had been there for 7,000 or 8,000 years, probably. Okay, at very least 4,000 years. And the cribbing had not rotted away. It had been permeated with the copper, which impedes bacterial processes.
Yes.
So you could tell not only that the wood was there, but what species it was just by looking at it. And if you squeeze on the edges of it, you could make water come out of it. Just like that inscription.
So I got caught up in the intricacies of the stories, guys. I haven't made it carbon dating yet, but I'm scanning through there are 3 different mound groups, and they're talking about the different ways in which they may or may not have classified each mound group. And you get back to what Emmert turned in, and Emmert did turn in a map of the Bat Creek group with his original 3789 report, but I could not find this, and it is probably lost.
They lost it.
It's always lost, man.
Lost
It's
it.
always lost.
Right.
Oops.
They sure did lose.
Yeah, and what we used to call it, put it in chapter or file it in file 13. It's not lost. It's just where nobody else can see it.
If you
The
want,
round file.
Jason, if you want, go to your Discord. I sent you an image that will give a better impression to who is watching and why someone may think it's derived from Hebrew, or from the same source alphabet. Just show that image.
I see. I do. I'm gonna have to send it to myself, dude, because I don't have Discord on my PC.
Okay. I sent it by
I
email.
I don't know how to turn off the notifications, and so it's just constantly ringing all night.
Okay, so I'm gonna send you by email.
That's fine. I'll pull it up on the PC. Perfect, boss. There you go. And I'm all the way at the end, so I'm assuming, here we go, carbon date. What is the carbon date of the ear spools? What are the ear spools, Vince?
I don't think Vince is with us right now.
Oh, okay.
They are copper jewelry, basically. You'd call them gauges nowadays.
It's sent, Jason.
This is why this paper is thoroughly misleading and should be completely disregarded. Okay, that was perfect setup. Wow. The Bat Creek inscription was found by an experienced and trusted agent. There you go, in an undisturbed burial of considerable age.
Well, but that contradicts
Okay, and you
the,
sent me. Let me
the
pop over.
60 pages that came before.
Okay, and in my inbox here, I should have something from you. Yeah, to show folks. There we go.
All done live.
Okay, and now, okay, open
Rick,
image in new tab. Got it.
you read lots of these reports. Are all of them like this from this time, or are there some work that is proper and without this kind of controversies?
Well, the argument that you're reading in this is 100 years after the fact. The work that was done in 1889 was actually pretty good work. And the case, because of all the controversy, has led to changes in the way you approach such an excavation.
How's your size, guys? Is that
Bigger. Fill the whole square that you have for sharing.
sure? See what I can do. I forgot how to open this. Bump, 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 bump.
And at about the same time this one was happening, there was another guy by the name of Alan King Moorhead. Does that name ring a bell with you?
No.
Okay, he's called by many the father of modern archaeology. So he was setting up how to document an excavation, what you find, how you catalog it, do it all in quick order, and he was destroying a mound a day to get that little notebook filled up.
Let me repeat that. Destroying a mound today. Is that what you said?
Yeah, excavation. Yeah, he destroyed, but he was keeping records of it too. And his methods, although modified a lot in the last century and a half, are still the same basic ideas that he was doing then.
So, Ricardo, the image in front of us, you want to alert everybody as to why I've got this up here for us?
This is what is in the stone.
Oh, this is, okay. But why does it look like this? This is an artistic rendering of it?
Because someone copied it, framed it, and aligned the letters to show how they would look if they were displayed in a more conventional way. I presume
Or conventional Paleo-Hebrew.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Is it biased? Were they trying to make it look like Hebrew? Because I see all kinds of little decorative elements that I couldn't necessarily see in that stone. You know, these little circles at the end and little shadings. You know, they're trying to make it look like a Renaissance fucking painting when that was like scratches.
I think that their argument is that it wouldn't be easy to do that in the stone or something like that.
Well, but this style is different because you start each or each stroke of each letter by boring a hole.
Exactly.
Sorry about that.
Each corner, each sharp corner is a bored hole. Each beginning, each ending is a bored hole. And then you
Got it.
scratch in between them.
Oh, cool. Okay. Okay. Well, now that does make sense, I guess, except for perhaps on that L-looking thing, it doesn't have a borehole at the angle.
It
Or
does, but you can't see it because both of them come into it. Look at the top right one on the E, the backwards E.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm with you, dude. All right, very cool, Ricardo. So we're looking at, you know, again, it seems to me that entertaining, and correct me if I'm wrong, it seems to me that entertaining the Hebrew-related aspect of this is playing into the forgery aspect of it, you know, a little bit.
Well, perhaps, but to me, this just illustrates a different way of making the similar characters.
Perfect. Perfect. And that's what it should represent. Right. I was received this under the, we were talking about, does it look like Hebrew? And I just wanted to make sure we were being clear, especially with something that the Cherokee are actually claiming.
The
Right.
thing, on top of this historical debate, there is big factions with religious interests, and
That
I'm
are
not
not Cherokee.
exactly that I'm
So
not sure it helps or it hinders.
are we talking about the folks from Utah here? Is that where we're
Yes.
going? And the way that interacts with American history? Yeah. So the Mormons have a vested interest in their faith books being generated, here and being generated with specific things that must have happened in history. So there is a known quantity audience in the whole American history, Smithsonian versus mainstream, all the little factions. Well, there's a big one about the Mormons, because they're a massive organization with an agenda to prove a certain history. So you will
And,
find that when you
and several
get
shiploads of money too. This is
yeah,
the whole
and this is right or wrong. I am in no way talking about anybody negatively here. Right or wrong, I think what you automatically run up against when you see Mormon mentioned with historical artifacts, you get a knee-jerk reaction of, oh, that's forgery, right?
Exactly.
Because you have an entity with a known, important to them agenda.
But they helped with their money and their people. I believe they helped to save some artifacts that are now in other museums and so on. Am I wrong, Rick?
Oh, I would imagine, yeah,
Oh, but
dude.
there's another side to this story that is equally important and almost never discussed.
Well, then we better discuss it.
I mentioned the name Major John Wesley Powell earlier.
Yes.
This is the man who was the second director of the USGS, despite never having a degree. And he was the creator and first director of the Bureau of Ethnicity at the Smithsonian. And for a couple of years, several years, in fact, he held both hats at the same time. During that time, he could direct where railroads could build. And he chose some interesting building sites for railroads that didn't really serve any purpose for the railroad, but it did destroy ancient sites. And since we're talking about Mormons, John Wesley Powell's father was a Methodist preacher who lost almost his entire, I guess you'd call it herd or flock to the brand new Mormon faith in upstate New York. And John Wesley Powell never forgave Joseph Smith for that. There's a lot more to this story, but I think we got something else to move on to probably before.
Okay,
Because
well,
there's
yeah.
a whole show in that.
There's Mr. Powell with his impressive beard.
But hey guys, sorry I got disconnected, but I wanted to ask you.
Welcome
did you
back,
find the
dude.
carbon dates?
At the very bottom, there was we were scanning fast because we lost you. There was a carbon date, something about one of the coppers, and but it was one of the carbon dates that the author of the letter was trying to prove wrong. They said that it was like Roman or something like that. But if after reading that carbon date, you realize you're reading from a letter that the author of that whole paper was saying, was ridiculous. So that's the only thing I found was apparently not a real date.
Yeah. So, but that was part of the reason that he was trying to disprove it, to say that it was Roman, so it couldn't have been real. But I mean, the carbon date itself is a real date. I mean, I think part of his reasoning for the inscription being not real because it was on another source predating the find is not a legitimate reason either. I mean, it's like saying they couldn't have written that script on another source anywhere else in the world,
So
or
I
else
see
everything that they
here
write.
he was important, this Powell dude. I see why you bring him up, right? So he's at the Bureau of Ethnology,
Yeah.
and he's also heading out on all these expeditions out west where they might discover shit.
Well,
That-
with one arm, He lost an arm at Shiloh.
Oh, I see that.
First time he went down the Colorado River in a canoe, he was alone with one arm. Think about that for just a moment.
Going down. Wow. The Grand Canyon alone with one arm.
And he was sponsored on that trip by the Illinois Geological Society.
He is a rough looking dude, isn't he?
So
Seen a
he's
lot.
kind of gnarly at times. But the second time, because when he got back from that first trip, they said, "So where are all the photographs?" And he said, "I did not take a photographer." They said, "Well, we're going to send you back." So he went down the Colorado River again. That time he had guides and bearers and all kinds of crap. But two of his,
Oh, look at that.
I guess, guides, bearers, whatever you want to call them, decided to lead the expedition. They were Mormons, and they never showed up again.
So there's our one-armed Mr. Powell with Paiute.
Uh-huh.
What were his... Sorry, Ricardo. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just asked you, never seen again. What does that mean?
They disappeared. They were never seen again.
And the expedition has no explanation for that?
Not for those two men disappearing, no. Into Paiute country, by the way. Ute and Paiute.
Really? So they vanished.
They vanished.
What do we have from his first? That was his, what, second expedition? From his first?
Correct.
Or what's his
There
reports?
are
What
no
those
photographs and almost no narrative.
Really? That's...
But whatever it was so interesting that they wanted photographs of it.
Well, they can't sell narrative like they can photographs. This is 1868. During the Civil War, 4 years earlier,
Oh,
photographs.
look, they've got a stamp with him in his one arm going down the Colorado
Yeah.
River. Wow.
Over the falls and everything. Yeah.
Wow. I wish there were narrative, you see. I mean, you see this guy that I'm learning about. I wish if I had, man, if he had his notes. You know,
Right,
there's so much
Utah
about the
had-
Grand Canyon, the Kincaid, and all these mysteries and yada yada. You know, you want every piece of firsthand data you can get about it.
Right. Well, there's also Lake Powell.
Okay.
But yeah, the guy's kind of famous.
So, you know, I had heard the name. I've just never obviously done a deep dive into him.
He is at the top of my list of, okay, he kind of shares 1 and 2, or he's tied for 1. I call them cookie cutter heroes, people who have almost no academic history. Some of them have no history at all, and they show up in important positions, usually in Illinois, and go on to national leadership roles with no verifiable experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go no further here.
You can go further. I know what you're hinting at. I mean,
No, I'm
what
done.
are we doing here? This is our show.
Rose says that we are attempting to solve something that is near impossible to solve. What are you doing, guys? Wasting
What are you
your
talking
time.
about? Me being able to be a producer? What does that mean, Rue? Clarify, sir. I said I'd pay attention to the chat, didn't I? See, look, here I am. Hi, Rue.
Yeah, I'm chatting at you.
You see, Ro, I think that there are lots of this near to nigh impossible to solve problems. The thing is, by solving one that might be possible to solve, then you get maybe relations to solve a lot of the others that looked nigh impossible to solve. Because a single difference in history creates a lot of things that was considered to be false or impossible to become a strong possibility, right? Like there is no transatlantic travel before Columbus, then everything is false.
Right.
So if there is transatlantic travel before Columbus, so a lot of stuff becomes to be correct. For instance,
Right. That's what makes it a keystone fact. If the Earth is going to support itself, that one keystone is the most important rock in the pile.
Because we're talking about the Mormons considering that there were a particular tribe or group that I can't remember the name that got to the Americas in somewhere around what 4000 BC, 3000
Well, there
BC.
were two different incursions according to the Book of Mormon, and 600 BC was the more recent one, and I don't remember now how long ago that other one was, but
Yeah,
it was
my,
a long way back.
yeah. My point just being that we are finding every single day during our research and from all of the research that you and so many others did for 40 years, there are clear evidence that someone was there before. Someone was digging those holes and taking the minerals. Someone was doing this stuff that we are not sure who they were. So I think they grab onto that, and who knows? It might have been them. We don't know, right? So
Does who they were matter when it comes to validating or
to them
invalidating
it
these
does.
claims?
To
You know what I
them it
mean?
does.
Well, here's my point, and I'm not saying who did what first. I'm saying here's what we found that came first.
Right.
The oldest known copper utensil, hammered, forged, formed by man,
Right.
and we know its date because part of the wooden haft was still in it, dated to about 10,500 years before present
What place
in
is this?
in Upper Michigan. I'm sorry, in Lower Michigan.
So almost 8000 BC.
Yes, right around the Younger Dryas.
Yeah, that's right at the Younger Dryas time boundary, as I call it, date boundary,
Yes,
whatever. Yeah.
precisely. But that's also after the big melt had already happened and had refrozen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that means that for some short period of time, there was no glacier on top of Upper Michigan before Younger Dryas.
Right.
All they had to do was go pick it up. They didn't have to mine anything then. And there was probably enough that had been scraped off by that glacier that they could go trade it away.
Yep. That is the thing that sticks with me, Rick, about the whole copper conundrum. Is I look at the fact that it's laying on the ground still today in chunks the size of a bus. Imagine then, right? Yeah, that you didn't even have to mine it, man. You could have just gone and picked you up more hunks than could have fit on any boat, and hauled off with it.
Rick gave us that reference of a side wall, if I remember. The side wall of a small cliff was a wall of copper that was right. I remember you talking me something like that. So
Well, and it only took us like a small amount of heat, right? They do the cold fire or whatever. They light a fire and crack a rock, and boom, there's a giant vein. It was
now
Right.
imagine
only, and that was rarely. A lot of times, folks, it's just on top of the ground in a big
Yeah.
old
Initially,
99.9% pure hunk of copper.
sure.
Yeah, they started to pick up this one piece, and part of it was still stuck to the earth. And they decided to dig out around it, and it began mining.
Yeah. Yep. There you go.
Now imagine
Because the copper
now
is harder than most of the stuff around it, but not much.
Now imagine the potential, considering that you have a civilization or a cultural aspect of civilization starting in Europe, Middle East, North Africa, that is the use of copper utensils. Everything is made of copper, right?
But it
They
came
use it so much
4,000 years
yeah,
after the first one.
and they still prepare it with tin, and then they had another almost 2000 years of bronze after that. So imagine the dirty job that is to mine in Europe with sulfuric and carbonate ores, right? You have to go deep into the ground. You take chunks of material, and only a small part of that material will be copper, right? And someone that has already crossed the ocean, or that knew someone or whatever, said, "Oh, I know where there's stuff like that all over the place, like pieces the size of a boat that you can carry." Obviously, it would be of great interest. And the first to go were the ones that dominated the complete market of the copper in the Bronze Age. That's why we have these hubs in South England and in St. Donana's Park in Spain and Cyprus in the middle of the Mediterranean. So
Well, and there's always the off chance that the very first exchange of Michigan copper into northwestern Europe was purely by accident.
Hmm.
If some of the North Americans were putting their dead on a raft and sending it out into the ocean with a couple of artifacts on it, and they bump into Ireland, which we know
Yep.
happened.
Yep. Beautifully hit upon that for me as I what I've ended upon with this whole copper trade and all, and where it's put me, as the girls in the chat, Sarah and Jacqueline, so often say, we fucking had boats, okay? Just sit with that for a second. We were humans the same as we are now, and we had boats. Now, couple with that what Rick just described for us so well, you've got the Gulf Stream, right? Which in the Atlantic Ocean, between the North American and European landmass, you have a cycle, which is a river. It is literally what cools and heats our planet for us, right? In a nutshell.
called the Yamok.
Yeah, if I went and jump off in there, with nothing, you just put me in a boat with enough fucking food and everything. If I'm in that river, I'm gonna cross the Atlantic, and I'm gonna end up over there in the UK, where coincidentally they could mine tin to add to this copper and get bronze.
Yeah,
Am I
Cornwall.
learning? I'm learning here, right?
Yeah.
So, and the Azores, which are along the northern part of this stream, Ricardo has taught us, we find all these anchor stones and stuff, hinting at what we're describing, which is, guys, if you threw a bottle with a message in the Gulf Stream, it's going to hit the other side, most likely, unless it sinks or some shit happens, a shark eats it, right? So human beings with rafts and boats, as Rick described, would make it. Right? As long as, and it didn't matter if the humans survived, right? If I've got advanced boats on one side and I see a raft float in that's got some copper beads in it and some dead people, right? And I've got a copper industry going, I'm going to go, hey man, which way did this come from? And you're off and running.
Well, and Christopher Columbus ran the dried cod trade, what they call the Hanseatic League. And they would run ships from basically Bergen, Norway, all the way to the eastern part of the Med selling fish. Nasty, dead, dried fish. But it was the biggest export industry in Europe at the time, and we're talking the mid 14th century is when it started. And of course, Columbus was doing it during the 15th century, starting about 1460. And he would make his treks to Norway and pick up his fish. And during the days or whatever time it took to load his ship with fish, he was probably in the local tavern talking to the other sailors who told him about where they caught the fish, which was the Grand Banks.
That's
every
far away
image
from home.
every image you see of Columbus on his ship, he's got a map in his hand.
Uh-huh.
And a Templar cross on his sail.
I know we're going down the Templar. Well, yeah, I believe, I think I know what you're hinting at, and what I personally believe, too, is that any explorer running around back in those days, first of all, there were maps in circulation, and a secret society, such as a Templar or whatever, name any of them, that had access to this knowledge would, of course, known about that landmass. And those maps might have been for sale. You can just imagine what happens at a seaside port, and a lot of money is at stake. We know from, Graham Hancock, will bring his name up. I learned from him about the Orontius Phineas maps and all of these various maps that existed well before they should have, and that show North America and South America and Antarctica, even, just as they should be, right? And the guy who wrote these maps, right, back in the, whatever it was, 1400s, way the fuck back, he said, I got this from older maps that I had found, and filled in what we didn't know. So we know the maps were there. You can argue or not, but that's just a point of history. It's solid, right? So obviously, I think the Templar, people want to go, ooh, conspiracy, but no. These people had these maps, and imagine how valuable this information is over here on this side of this map, right? Over here on this side of this water, I've got copper, the Bronze Age booming, right? And I learned that there's shit over here, a whole bunch of shit, you know? And I'm in a secret organization. Now, what do you do with that information? You don't have to imagine a leak or whatever. It's going to happen. Somebody's going to get those maps and somebody's going to get over there. And probably somebody had been using those maps secretly for a very long time before it even
Somebody
made
with
it into
too
the
much
public
demon
hand.
love.
Yeah, before it got into public, even public explorers' hands, for sure.
Look, with so many expeditions by the west coast of Africa that we know that are happened and they are documented. It's just, if you see my mouse, if you have a problem around here and you break a mast or you lose a rudder or you lose a way to navigate properly, you're going to be pushed. And when you get by here, if you understand anything about the ocean, and you are in that situation, you're not going back, mainly because probably the winds will not allow you to do that and you don't have means. So the only thing to do is to go forward, and it has to end somewhere. And where you go to the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, right? After 3 weeks, you are there.
Yeah.
It takes you 3-4 weeks, but you get there. So and then to return, notice how this goes exactly to the Azores, right? And then there is here, that's not shown, there is here another one that takes you right to the British Isles, all during currents. So even the technological skills that they would need to actually go to the Americas and return were very basic.
Very, very. You know, here in the
Well, except
Southeast,
for they had to have good provisioning. They had to have food and water and probably some medications, but to last whatever crew for a little more than 3 weeks at minimum. Right. And probably they would try to have enough for 3 months because, well, that's what sailors do.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just like harping on as we are, you know, not saying it's an easy, simple thing, right? But just how naturally, easily it is. You know, it's not as simple because Rick points out you got to keep a human body alive, right? As long as you can do that, it is a relatively simple process.
Go and watch what is the record for the smallest boat to cross the Atlantic, and you will be amazed.
14-foot rowboat.
With the size of the boats that they have used to cross the Atlantic. So,
there was a lady from Louisville, Kentucky, crossed it in a canoe.
So Rue adds in Magellan's Passage, so well guarded by the Portuguese, your people, Ricardo, that it was a death sentence in order to share it.
Yeah. Their maritime secrets, yes, indeed. Well, the Carthaginians started that. They probably didn't originate it, but they used it. They would scuttle a boat if the Romans were getting too close to keep their stuff from being found or their crew being tortured.
Yeah, I mean, those were state secrets. We'd treat that like we treat nuke secrets now, you know.
Exactly. Their entire economy.
Although it turns out we've been handing that shit out fairly freely under the table, but still.
Well, really, as far as the people are concerned.
Well, it's controlling the oceans back then. It's like today controlling the biggest assets that we have. I can't even compare it to something. Perhaps AI or
it was economy, huge. It was army, it was life. I mean, you know, back in that certain period of time, man. You know,
no, it was profitable enough for a simple trade company to have an army. Then an army not on land but on the sea, which was much more expensive, and it was profitable enough for that.
Let me tell you a little story about that kind of stuff.
Speaking of go for it, Rick.
Do you remember a little character by the name of Ross Perot?
Oh, I do.
He had been a Navy commander. He was retired. Then he started companies. He owned like a third or more of the stock in General Motors. He started buying up oil company stuff. Then he started EDN, Electronic Digital Network. Anyway, his oil company, part of it was in a really shithole country in Africa, and they decided to take over his operation, and they were holding his entire cruise hostage. And he went to the then director of Central Intelligence, George Herbert Walker Bush, and said, I need your help to get my men out of there. And Bush said, we'll get them. Give me a little time. We'll put it together and we'll get them. And after about 3 months, nothing had happened. So Ross Perot put together his own team and went and got him. And I don't know, nobody knows exactly how many bodies he left behind, but he got all his men out alive.
No shit. I did not know that story.
Yeah, you don't hear about this one much. But that is the primary reason that Ross Perot ran against George Herbert Walker Bush.
Wow.
And allowed Bill Clinton to win the presidency. Now, there's some recent history for you. Now, let's get back to the ancient history stuff.
All right.
Yes, the mercantile outfits of ancient times had their own military forces. Not always big enough, but they had them. And you can find trade ships that had giant ballistas on the deck. Just not very many examples. You find images, not the ships themselves.
I often, you've hinted at, also, I don't want to misdirect you here. Keep going if you want to go European, but you've hinted at the Native American ship capabilities. And I happened to see a preview of a conversation that Jacqueline and Sarah had with the archaeologist Ed Barnhart. And Ed was clarifying about DeSoto's time on the Mississippi. And he was clarifying, that, of course, they made these shoddy little boats, but what they were encountering at all times, they described as they were two-story boats. There were these entire ships filled with Indians and arrows, like we would think of a warship. They were completely on an onslaught, as he described it, and I'll let you guys go check out Universe Unveiled to see him continue to describe it. But I was intrigued because you'd already introduced me to the idea of a trading, fleet on this side of the country. And so when I heard him echoing, that's what the first guys found, I thought that was pretty cool.
And the seagoing canoes of the Caribs and the Tainos, they were some of them were double hull, not outriggers, double hull, 2 hulls with cross members with a platform across them, so that they could
An armada.
A single vessel with 100 paddlers. Not oars, all paddles.
Yeah.
But they could mount a sail on the crossbeam. And they were maritime trade, the vessels. And that's what came out to meet Columbus.
Right.
7 foot tall, 100 of them in a 100-foot canoe. Longer than his own ship.
Let's imagine these people that I've got an archaeologist, I've got Rick, I've got firsthand accounts describing armadas, describing giant warships running up and down the Mississippi. There's no other way to say it, right? Now, if these people also, because they're covered in copper, and I don't mean grotesquely, but you know what I mean. Each site we find evidence of copper artifacts amongst the natives. That's a known quantity. So if I have a nation that has an armada, that has massive ships, that has this copper, which at the same time is highly fucking valuable over in the other part of the world where supposedly we're not going, right? Well, in this conversation, we've already talked about how the simplest of boats makes the trip as long as you're provisioned. And I know in America they had boats big enough to do it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'm done. That's just what came to me about that. I was, when you first hinted at me the idea of native trade, Rick, all these months ago, when I think it was one of our first conversations, me, of course, guys, you all know me. I'm huge native. That's all my story. I'm trying to tell their story. So I was just totally intrigued, but also like, I know DeSoto describes some big shit, but let me just dig a little further. And then getting all this verification over these past few weeks has really made the case even stronger that trade. They had, let me just say it with this, they had fucking boats.
Yeah.
And they knew how to use them.
so well, that
Yeah.
DeSoto and his men, these guys trained, right? Trained in I mean, they came over in armada, literal armadas, the Spanish armadas. We know this was supposedly, and you read all the chronicles, they describe it as factually the most well outfitted, exploration to the New World. These guys knew how to operate on water, and they described their encounters at the Mississippi as unbearable. They couldn't deal with what they were facing.
Yeah, they were more maneuverable. They're much
Yeah,
more,
the dudes, they were just experts. It was like running into, I don't know how to
Well,
describe
the
the
other end of that
technology
stick is
exchange.
the Mississippi Valley and most of the tributaries to it at that time were full of snacks. The Spanish had no idea how to deal with that. They were open water mariners. Riverine just completely. Now, if they had stuck around in Peru long enough to use those waters to learn a little bit, then they'd have been better equipped, but they were not. And they did not know how to build a good riverine boat. They knew how to build a pretty good seagoing boat.
So let's address Rue's point.
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Onboard scurvy was not solved in this iteration until the late 1700s by the British Navy. Up until then, it was accepted that a crew at sea could last about 6 weeks before they had to land and recover.
I'm sure that's not correct entirely.
Well, it kind of is. But there was a long period of time between when they knew how to deal with it and when they relearned how to deal with it.
Okay, see, that's Rick. You're going where I was going. Was these maps, these Arranches finished maps I mentioned earlier? They show to us that we cracked this whole longitude shit long before we had a clock that could not, rock on the waves, right? That back then we had cracked a problem that we ourselves did not crack until the 1800s, right?
Yeah, but
The 18th century, yeah.
Centuries. Thank you.
Mid 1700s for the chronology.
I learned this week from an individual that was making a kind of report expedition to the Inuit, and he found out that they didn't eat anything but fat and meat, and had no vegetables, no fruit, which is obvious. And so we started by not eating their food and got really sick. And then he started eating their food and got really healthy. And then he returned and tell that to the scientists. And the science said, no, it can't be right. There's something you haven't seen. Because, for instance, they will suffer the same thing that these people suffer on sea, this lack of vitamin C.
Scurvy, yeah.
So you go back, please, and you studied it. And so he went back and he did the same diet that they was doing and did it for a long period of time. And this time it was all documented. And so when he got back, they said, okay, the only way we're going to buy it is if you bring some of those people here and we create the conditions where they only get their food, but we are watching them. We are going to monitor every single minute of their lives. And so they did it. And it was proven that a human eating only fat and meat would have no lack of vitamin C, would have no serious diseases, the teeth decayed less.
The way they get their vitamin C, whether it's from seals or from fish, is they pick out a very specific organ. And in the seal, it's basically your pituitary gland, or its pituitary gland. And it provides vitamin C.
Interesting.
And each of them will get a tiny piece of it when they butcher the animal. But in the ancient times, there were two plants that we can find in images, in graphics. One of the, and they both grow, they look almost identical and they perform almost identical, but one of them is in the old world and one of them is in the new world. And you heard the phrase sacred lotus.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that the whole plant is just brimming with vitamin C?
No, I did not.
Oh.
So, those not
Yeah.
familiar with scurvy, I have in front of you. It all rotted my gums, which gave out a black and putrid blood. My thighs and lower legs were black and gangrenous, and I was forced to use my knife each day to cut into the flesh in order to release this black and foul blood. I also used my knife on my gums, which were livid and growing over my teeth. When I had cut away this dead flesh and caused much black blood to flow, I rinsed my mouth and teeth with my urine, rubbing them very hard. And the unfortunate thing was that I could not eat, desiring more to swallow than to chew. Many of our people died of it every day, and we saw bodies thrown into the sea constantly, 3 or 4 at a time. This occurring from, as we understand it, a lack of vitamin C and limited what you could do on the open water, supposedly.
Right. So the sacred lotus and the water lily on this side of the pond, they both provide enough vitamin C to keep you healthy. And we now know that in ancient times, I say I know because I've seen the translation, that one of the ancient merchants was in the business of selling these products to the sailors to keep them healthy.
So I had heard, I don't know, is this folklore? I'd heard that sauerkraut was part of a late, was that a solution? The pickling of the cabbage, and that gave them enough vitamin C. I don't know if that's lore or not, but that's what I'd heard. That's part of where sauerkraut came from.
Well, in
I
Portugal
am not certain.
they teach us it was oranges.
Really?
Yeah, that our sailors were going with a huge shipment of oranges when they're going to India and when they're going to Brazil. They took lots of oranges, and that's what ended the scurvy.
Yeah. And limes for the British. That's why they call
True.
them limers.
True says salt water. And before we get to what True was saying about, overcoming the salt water, for instance, I've heard, and I'm saying it as a fact, but, I'll be careful since I'm not going to look it up, but that, for instance, a jalapeno pepper, the seeds have ounce for ounce far more vitamin C than even a lemon, right? To your point of the fact there are sources for vitamin C. And, this is not necessarily a problem we just discovered in the 1700s.
Correct. But, our recent history, that is the last 300 years, give or take,
Right.
is that the British Empire's Navy, which was the only true sea power for 150 years, sent their fleets out with hardtack and rum and nothing else. So their sailors died of scurvy or rickets or a whole bunch of other related diseases.
Ricardo, you mentioned the all meat diet of the Inuits. Now, I know just from myself, I've become, because I don't trust a lot of food, right? And I've got a source of meat from a farm that I trust. So I'm eating just a lot of meat, really. And I know there's a lot of people that have publicly taken just carnivore diets, right? So why are these people not falling over from scurvy?
You want me to speculate on it?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
sure.
think that's the objective.
Yeah, that's all I'm going for.
I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to tell you about a guy I knew who was a Anishinaabe cultural representative. Mike, I hope I get this right. He got called into the oil country up on the North Cape of Alaska because all of the Inuits that they were hiring were getting sick and dying. And they had the best food that could be provided at the North Pole. It was steaks every night. It was this and that and full salads and everything that you could possibly want for free because they fed everybody for nothing. But they were dying. And Mike went up there and said, they only eat fish. That's all they eat. When they're home, that's all they eat. Mm-hmm. You're killing them with kindness. Give them fish. And they got better. And it's true. That's all they eat. So, now, to speculate on why? Because they've adapted. That's all they know. That's all their body can do. They can't live the way we do because our diets kill them. And we're kind of the same way unless we get up there long enough to adapt. Now, there are plants that they're not privy to because they're too far away that can act as adaptogens and help us poor white folks a little better at digesting some of these things and living in those conditions.
Yeah, and you
but
have
they don't
people-
need those adaptogens. They used them, 3,000-4,000 years ago.
Sure.
And they've been there ever since.
I think any American could probably, if you've got European friends and they come see you, and eat your food for a month and your food only, they're going to wind up sick. We're pros at poison over here. Say that half jokingly, but you
I
can't
didn't grow up in Mexico. I can't.
They had to invent COVID to try to get rid of us because the diet wasn't doing it. The human body is an amazing thing, and we're so full of this shit and still running fine.
I was with Rick and the rest of the team and Chris and so on at the breakfast place, and I think I asked Rick, I don't know who I asked, but I asked if there were duck eggs. Do you remember that? Is that duck eggs? And then Rick turns it on, because that's the only white eggs that I know. It's duck eggs. So he comes to me and said, no, it's bleach egg. It's what? I'm going to eat eggs with bleach on them? Like, why would they spend the money to bleach the eggs? It's cheaper not to do so, right? But he explained it's because of, what do you call it, salmonella or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's not why the shell is white. I was pulling your leg on that part.
Oh, you were? Okay.
No, bullshit. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So why are they white?
Go.
They just bred it out of them. It looks better on a shelf.
Yeah.
But how do they take the natural color of the egg?
I'm sorry?
How do they take the natural color of the egg?
Selective breeding.
It is selective breeding and diet because they actually feed them up limestone.
See, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, Ricardo, anybody, if you've just got a chicken at your house, you go get your chicken, you're going to get your regular brown eggs. It's particular
I had
breed
chicken
of
for many
and-
years. We had chicken in our eggs for many years.
I mean, we put poison in our kids' drinks to make it red. Of course, we put limestone in our chickens to make their fucking eggs.
Well,
red.
it's in your bread too, but that's a whole different story.
Man, I already know my food's poison. Don't add to it. I have a hard enough time eating. I like lose weight because every time I look at something that came from a grocery store, I'm just going, why? Why would I eat toxic shit? But I'm hungry.
I was going to give another example that I heard a few weeks ago of the South American cattle herders, like cowboys, but the South American version. So there is this anthropologist with them to study their way of life. And he noticed that they eat beef, and after they eat beef, and then they eat beef, and they eat beef all the time with nothing else but the beef. And so the guy says, but where are your vegetables? Where are your greens? And the guy answered to him, green? No, the cow eats the greens.
You're right.
We eat the cow.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He even described it. The guy looked at him like, what are you asking, man? The cow eats the greens. We eat the cow.
Is the most
Well, it's
efficient
kinda like the-
machine that a human being has. We can't eat grass, and it takes grass and it turns it into food, vitamins, minerals, shit we can wrap our bodies in, on and on and on. Yeah.
Well, put it this way. The next time you go get some good fresh ice cream, it was grass 3 days before.
Right. Right.
It's true.
You get the right milk, you can taste that grass.
So,
no doubt.
so that's alchemy.
Or the wild onions.
Yeah, whatever they're feeding them on. It is
That's
alchemy. It's
it's
precisely
alchemy.
alchemy. It is precisely alchemy. You're taking grass, right?
You
And
put green
getting-
stuff on one side
Green-
and taking white liquid for
It
the
takes
other.
what, 3 stomachs? How many stomachs do the cows have?
Four.
It's 4. It's a machine designed for alchemy. It is 100% that. It takes that grass and it turns it into all the things I need to walk around. You need to walk around, keep myself warm, tallow for my hair and skin, and the list goes on and on.
And it
From
takes-
from something totally unusable to us, grass.
And it takes 2 mastications because then they sit down and they bring the food back to the mouth, and then they
Yeah.
chew it again and then swallow it again.
And then in between stomachs, and it's a lot of fucking work to turn grass into
It
something.
looks very alien to me.
It does, doesn't it? Look,
Well,
touch.
it can also provide you fuel if you're willing to follow them around.
Exactly.
It's you don't even have to kill them to let them be a source of life. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, all of these things from alien. That's a machine. I mean, I don't care if you want to say it came here on a ship or God designed it. Either way, that's a machine designed for a purpose.
Well, there are a lot of questions on who did what first and which way they came from.
Oh, now we're going to get into diffusion territory.
Yes, we are, because it happened.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't care which way it came from or when it happened.
Probably happened 5 or 6 times before the time we're talking about it happening that nobody believes in. I bet even before that, there was probably, it's just, we've been all over this damn ball, y'all.
Well, yeah, actually, and maybe inside it if you want to go there for a minute.
Inside it, we've been all over Mars. I mean, look, Ricardo and I are getting ourselves, a little lightly involved because we enjoy it in the Mars Disclosure Project. We're going to do a monthly podcast with these cats, and it's when you start opening your mind and going, yeah, we were there too. It's guys, I could go forever on this. Just look at a fucking map of the known universe. Get you one of those little videos that zooms out from Earth, and if you don't accept of the fact that there's a lot of life out there, then you're not looking right.
Well, I don't know if you're aware, but they've now confirmed that even on Earth, there are non-carbon based life forms.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That don't consume oxygen and all kinds of crap. But there are also
we don't work here as well as a lot of the animals that exist here.
Well, that's true enough.
We in many ways when you start looking closely enough, could say perhaps came from a slightly different environment. Perhaps.
Well, here, go with this one. Check your biorhythms against the day cycle on Mars.
Okay.
But
and perhaps because of atmospheric conditions, these people would have been slightly taller,
slightly less gravity,
and well proportioned, even so they would have been normal, sort of like Tuscaloosa and these natives get described. So we and these people that you don't have to call them aliens, guys. Here's what I'm learning, right? Everybody wants to call it Anunnaki, call it all these, just goes on forever, right? Okay, what if I just said it's all people, first of all, and I look at Mars and I go, all right, we were there. I can see the shit in Peru.
Somebody
they did it here.
There.
They did it there, right? So why, if I have all these tales of tall people, humans that were tall and well proportioned, why doesn't that mean we just came here,
That's the exact, that is the exact description that Columbus gave of the Taino Indians.
Right.
Tall and well proportioned because they're all looking up at him.
Tall and
7 feet tall versus 5.5.
Yeah.
And they got out of a canoe that was longer than his mother's ship.
Shit. That's a big fucking canoe.
Well,
yeah.
We have to understand why they succeeded. Today, probably it wouldn't happen because we are now faithless.
Well, yeah, but I'll give you another example of why it would still work today. At that time, Columbus had firearms and the Taino did not.
Yes, but
okay.
They were very
Fair
few,
enough.
And they have to recharge after each shot.
Well, yeah, but it was complete terror. They'd never seen anything like it or heard anything like it. They brought fire and thunder and death. Kind of like Caracas a couple of weeks ago.
So they were gods.
Yeah,
basically.
the defense forces in Caracas had never seen anything like this. They just folded 200 of them, just folded, and 20 special forces guys just walked in.
And
so.
this is completely out. Just to answer into the chat, I have no idea why we have two logos.
I saw
No
that.
idea whatsoever. But we do have two logos. So, but I don't know.
Sarah, you're the pro. What do you mean? You don't know
No, I
how to
don't
happen
know.
it?
I don't know. Well, what I was going to say something.
So we're getting towards the hour and a half,
Yeah.
but I didn't. We were getting interesting territory. A minute ago, I was just looking up Columbus's guns for us, but I'll come back. Usually at this point, Ricardo. Now, Rick, if you're still wanting to go, we can go. But I do open it up for any questions, last minute questions from the guys that have been so cool to come hang out with us, and of course anything, Ricardo, that you or Rick want to plug or put out there before we get to a formal sort of good night.
Let's see if anyone has any
You
questions.
start.
So I'll start, sure. So I just this weekend I had an interview with Dave from Mike and Dave's Multiverse. Guys, I have no idea. It's up to him when that comes out, but I'm excited for that to come out. It was a really good conversation. I was a roommate with Dave out at the Arizona conference, so when you get 4 days thrown in with a dude, you get comfortable with each other. So he wanted to go deep talking about some of my own personal experiences and stuff, outside of all the evidence, which we got to. There's a good solid hour of looking at some of the fun rocks I found. So I'm excited about that. I unexpectedly found myself in a video with the great Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson this past weekend. They premiered the talk that those gentlemen gave while I was in Arizona, and we all got to go up on stage and ask them questions. And they left that in when they premiered their dialogue this past weekend. So I even had picked up a few viewers, that saw me there. So yeah, I've had a very cool week as far as growing our community goes. Ricardo, what I'm most proud of is in between the two questions, I managed, despite my nerves, talking to, sort of personal heroes here. Despite my nerves, I managed to use my real name, my screen name, and the name of our podcast, the Shaman and the Philosopher. So that aired. That was just a nice fortuitous moment. So we've picked up a few watchers just from that. Anything else? I don't think so. Continue to watch us, Ricardo and I. I think we do have some interviews set up. I know we're doing one tomorrow, but we're also going to start trying to mix in a little of this live with our Sunday night time slot. Just because we're having fun with it and it's working,
Sure.
along with our regular guests. So bear that in mind, everybody.
And it helps me a lot because I don't have to edit it. It's done.
It's done, and we've gotten to the point, unless we've got guests that specifically want to do a lot of presenting and we want it to go well and be able to look that way, this is working as we're learning how to manage it.
Sure, sure. The only thing I want to keep doing the recordings with the guests is because we can't do the live in the Shaman and the Philosopher yet. For some reason,
Right.
the channel doesn't allow us. So to maintain the channel, it's convenient to put some videos. I think we have to do still some recordings until finally the channel is released from whatever it is, and we can do lives there.
We'll clarify for everybody. Follow us here on the Institute of Natural Philosophy page for these lives that we're doing. Our recorded conversations will continue to go on the Shaman and the Philosopher page until we've reached whatever time limit YouTube has set that allows us to start going live directly from there.
Sure. And I think you just got a sleeper.
What? Did somebody throw a flip-flop at me? What are you talking about?
Yes.
Big announcement coming soon. Yes, I guess you're talking about the live event
Yeah,
that we're going to be
probably, yes,
hosting?
yes.
Okay. So Sarah and I will be co-hosting a live event for the Institute of Natural Philosophy here very, very soon. I saw there was updates on the webpage I just saw earlier. He's wanting pictures. I don't think I owe him any. That's you guys, okay? But as soon as we get this shit together, we're going to have a live show and present all of the different people that are working with the Institute with various projects, all the projects we have going on, the people that are in charge, associated with those projects. We're going to hang out. We're going to let them come talk to you. And Sarah and I are going to host the event and just, do one of these, hang out for the evening, but present to you what it is the Institute has actually been working on under the radar for a while now. How's that, boss? Is that a good plug?
Yeah, excellent. I don't know
Okay.
what
Well,
your
Steve
think.
says don't say much, so I'm always trying to walk that line. What are we putting out publicly here? But yeah, that's going to be a fun event. I don't think we have the date yet. Sarah and I are going to dry run it Tuesday, I think, of next week, just to get everything clean. So yeah, within a couple of weeks, that's going to be hitting the table. Very excited.
So Ro wants us to put a crash test dummy on a.
I'm for it. I'm for it. Dude, as soon as I start getting a little cash from all this treasure behind me, okay, I'm for it. We're going to get a raft. We're going to throw a dummy on it. Rue, we'll put a little outboard motor that can remote control by GPS just in case. And if it gets out of the current, you're down there in Australia, you can just wire the fucker so it makes sure it works out the way we need it. Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for that test, bro. Okay,
It might work. Never know.
So, Rick, how are you, sir? You got anything you want to throw out to our fans that are coming to? I really hope appreciate what I'm learning to appreciate. And I knew from the very beginning with you, Rick, is that you're just full of this stuff, and you're a very wise individual. You're fucking retarded in the right way, like I am, and
I'm full of something.
You're full of, yeah. It's not bullshit, but it does smell.
It can smell real bad. So, citizen mad scientist here. Still working on my world domination plan, but I think that Ricardo will put up some links for Lost America here pretty soon because we've got 10 episodes ready for viewing.
Nice.
Available for viewing, and the last one is mostly Lee Pennington, a man who deserves some attention.
Agreed. Echoed.
We shared episode 9 and 10 yesterday.
Well, share it again.
Yeah, I will.
Keep sharing.
If people wants to see them, they are on my page. I will repost them again after this.
After we wrap here in just a moment.
What I wanted to say about this is this series, as I described there, is to me different from others because instead of relying in something that is common today, that is sensationalism, there is hyping stuff. This series focus on people's knowledge and research and their stories, and they actually share what they know with you without being interrupted by and this and that. It's raw, it's direct, and you get the information. You actually got to see some of the images, some of the maps, some of the sceneries. You get a complete picture that you won't get in any other documentary because they are bound by this situation that they have to be sensationalistic, hyper this or that in order for people to keep engaging in a mass production documentary. In here, it's the love for the history, it's the love for the people, it's the love for the knowledge and for the questions, because it's not trying to answer anything. Right. It's just giving you information that you probably don't have, because these people, although they are extremely knowledgeable, they are not known. In fact, Lee Pennington is a fellow with so many awards in terms of literature. He has 3 or 4 academic degrees. He has been speaking about this for 30 years, 40 years, and who knows the name? Who knows the name?
His biography of accomplishments reads like a phone book. I mean, really, Ricardo.
That's not an exaggeration.
Dude, I'm serious. This is not. Ricardo sent it to me the first time, and I'm thinking it's bullshit. And I'm not even joking. I'm really not, guys. You get in there, and I mean, once you get done with just the schooling, and then you start going into the filmography, and you're like, man, no, this was not one little man that a whole bunch of people don't know about. But indeed, it was. And Ricardo has fortunately, I believe, secured us a visit with Mr. Pennington here.
Yeah,
soon.
Exactly.
Yeah, and he's done it all without any outside funding.
Right.
He's traveled the world 6 or 7 times with 0 outside funding.
This
like, is true documentation.
It's like Spike Milligan receiving the Life Achievement Award, and he grabs the prize, and he goes to the stage, and he says, "And I wanted to thank myself, because I did it all on my own."
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Y'all didn't have shit to do with this. There ain't no I in team. Yeah, there ain't no we either, motherfucker. I did this.
Yeah, Lee's been all over the world and has run into people at these places that he never believed he would ever run into anywhere, and they're there to apparently do him a solid and help him do his research. He just shows up at the right time.
Yeah, yeah. A guided individual is what I say.
Oh,
That's how
it
I say
is.
it.
He is. I believe I don't know him that much. I spoke to him a few times, but very little. I believe he's as much an academic, a scholar, a researcher as he is a spiritual person. So I
Has
think
to be.
he combines, and then the poetry shows that he's also very compassionate. So
He was like poet laureate of 3 states, wasn't he? I mean,
And a Kentucky colonel, and
Yes.
yeah,
All right, there goes the boss man. He's coming back. There he
Pul-
is.
a Pulitzer nominee 2 or 3 times.
So what I'll say on all this is, and it's to you too, Rick, and this is my way of giving a thank you here at the end, is look, the idea of chatting with Lee, of just being part of that. I'm talking about little old me, just how I feel about it, right? I mean, guys, these are the type of conversations that I would seek out my whole life. It'd be amazing the trouble I'd go to and the groups of people I'd hang around, to make sure I could find these type conversations. They're rare, and individuals like yourself and like Vince and like Lee, and like Ricardo. It's just a rare thing. And so for me personally, to be able to hang out and watch us stumble through trying to not only be okay at, but maybe master here, a good way to share this with people. And that's why I'm so happy to sit over here and sort of just play producer and try to facilitate this thing so that everybody gets what I get from it, which is, look, you can read books, guys. You can read books. You can watch fucking documentaries. You can do all of this and get knowledge. But when you sit with a human being that just has it in them and on them, it
Or
hits
you
you
go
different.
with them to the field.
You go with them to the field. It's different. It harks on our oldest things as human beings sitting around a fire and telling each other stories.
Indiana Jones 4, the best scene, on the motorcycle, sliding through the library.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't? Oh, okay. Well, you got to go.
I haven't
watch
watched 4 because I was a big fan of the series, and I thought I heard that would ruin it. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't watch a lot of
I
films
disagree,
though. So
but anyway, so
well, I'm going to watch it now then, since you disagree,
okay, so they're
because I
sliding into
respect
the
you.
library on a motorcycle, on a Harley Davidson, and it finally comes to a stop, and one of Indiana Jones' students says, "Dr. Jones," and goes on to say about so and so textbook, and Jones looks at him and says, "Read so and so about diffusion." And then get out of the library. If you want to be a good archaeologist, you got to get out of the library.
Yes. Read about diffusion and get out of there. That's get out of the field.
I want to say 2 things. One of them is what we're talking shows the real importance of oral tradition. Because these things are not written in books. It's communicating with these people that we receive their wisdom. It's no matter how many works they wrote, it's only by speaking that you get all of it, especially if you are on site or you get this is the vital importance of oral tradition that it's diminished because writing is so much better. It's not. It's completely different. And the second is we are talking about Lee Pennington, but same thing can be said by Rick, and I think Rick is also very is seen below what he really is, because his knowledge, his information, his studies, his life puts him in a top level in terms of wisdom and knowledge that I
Your
have.
check's in the mail.
Yes, thank you very much. I hope I performed as you told me to.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So,
Well, you're not paying me. What do I need to get a few dollars? So the thing I like about Rick is the way that when I need something. No, I've already said what I like about Rick, and I'm going to echo what Ricardo said because it's just fucking true. I don't take time away from my kids. I don't take time away from other things I could be doing lightly. But I do it because of how much I'm loving this and how much I enjoy it and how much I appreciate you gentlemen and just want to soak up what I can while I can.
Well, Yeah, I've got decades of experience of people that I admired,
Right.
and they're gone, and now somehow we've got to continue what they taught because it's important, and one break in the chain, and it can be decades or centuries before anybody picks it back up.
You just encapsulated our mission statement, I think, here. That's what got us going on the Roundtable Chronicles. It's honestly what got me going in the shaman and the philosopher. Yeah, you said it, brother. That's it. Because it's fucking important. And,
It isn't.
you know, look, guys, for a long time, we made it without technology. For a long time, technology as we represent it now, okay, as we recognize it now. There's going to be a time when we're going to have to deal without the things we have now, you know. We don't need to forget how to be what we are as human beings, and sitting around a fire trading knowledge and stories is a crucial part of what we are as human beings.
And I still maintain that all those cave paintings of bulls and horses and wild animals are merely training aids on how and what to hunt.
Dude,
Where to strike even, because some of them have marks on specific points.
I know we're running about 6 minutes to our 2 hour mark, so I'll fill a little time here. I'm going to shout out to, you brought up cave paintings. Dan Richards, our buddy D Dunking, he showed me something in a video this week. He put out a video where the cave painting, right? So you've got a cave painting, you've got, say, bison, right? Okay, that if you were, they've done the studies now, used the technology to prove this, that if you were to remove the cave wall and leave the painting, what you had was a solstice marker that somehow they were able to determine behind the cave that this thing was a literal marker of what was happening in the sky behind it. It's fucking insane. Yeah.
And also the images in some places have been shown by new technology that separates the images and creates the same effect that you would have if you are in some kind of psychotropic drug. You would see the image as 3D. So
no, oh yes, that is a real feature. Yeah.
It's almost holographic in essence.
So a lot of these paintings. Yeah. Go ahead, Ricardo. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say that to me the most fascinating of all of the paintings is not the paintings at all. Is how did they do it in darkness? Because most of these caves have no marks of torches in the ceiling.
They have no soot on the ceiling. But I do have an answer. Auroch in Europe, the auroch close enough to beef that if you take the fat from the marrow and render it, it doesn't make soot when you burn it in a candle.
I see your point.
Excellent, yeah.
And
yeah, they were brilliant. They worked with what they had.
I believe that.
Rue, we are part of a new tradition. I see Rue in the chat. He says oral tradition, but we are part of a new tradition, which we haven't quite got our heads around.
That's why Lost American was made.
Yeah, I think you're true, Rue, but, you know, I also, look, we live on a globe in space, and there's shit that happens a lot, and, you know, this electrical grid that we are dependent upon is too easily fucked with by Mother Nature, let alone
fragile.
Man. It's very fragile. And to bank on and get highly invested in this new form of doing things, I think is a mistake if we do it at the cost of the old ways. Because honestly, Rue, if we look at Earth's history, we're going to end up back in the old ways. You know, I think it's in the cards. It's too fragile of a system we have right now. We grow up in it and we see it everywhere and it's always on. And so we just think, oh, this is reality. But one well-placed solar flare, one well-placed larger event that knocks out satellites, and you're looking at a globe that's back to fire. You know,
or an
very,
EMP.
very quickly. An EMT, yeah, once you get, even humans can now start causing this. It's not something to learn to rely on, in my honest opinion.
However, a line-of-sight communication system, as I have described, is not dependent upon electronics.
No,
not at all. I like the technology that works just fine on its own, right? That's
yep,
good,
and I own property
stuff.
that has a cave under it. So,
and I'm looking for property with a cave under it.
And we have this temple in Malta, completely directed to the ocean. That is the exact representation of a 133 megahertz antenna that when you put someone singing in it, depending on if it is a fat woman, for instance, that they are depicted there as sirens, you could either guide sailors from unseen land to land, or you could drive them mad. And that's the
Yep.
legend of the sirens, because the singing into those walls that are created to create a specific resonance and frequency that goes into the ocean would either drive you mad or bring you to shore. So, what people call today, and this I've been fighting this for years. People keep saying advanced technology, and science say we are the most advanced we ever were, and then people talking about other advanced civilizations in the future as aliens or whatever. This is not advanced at all. Advance is the way that we manage to survive in nature, using all its elements and living in unity with it. That's being evolved. This is depending on, as you said, Jason, a very fragile, extremely fragile civilization that can be destroyed taking one single element out of it. You will ruin everything because
So-
everything depends on electricity.
So why not be pretty skilled at operating without that one element?
Because if you do,
That's-
then you're
that's what
not
I'm saying.
dependent of the system.
Well, I mean, look, we can still have our Bitcoin on one dude that's got a phone to handle the Bitcoin for us. But we can, other than that, we can pretty much learn to operate without that one thing that could fail, Ricardo.
Look, I think we should embrace both sides.
I
We
mean, I
should
don't know what kind of
embrace-
compound you're wanting to put together, boss, but I'm not going to have one that's too highly dependent on the electrical system.
But there is many ways to generate electricity.
This
The
is
ancients
true.
knew how to do it.
Well, that's why we're going to have running water, boss. That's why there's going to be a creek with running water, you know.
It's it's like a.
And
these
whatever
people-
machines Rick has already built in his backyard to secure us electricity, those will be there.
we all go to Rick's cave.
No, Rick's coming to ours. Fuck that. I'll move him. I'll pay for it. I'm already signing up for that.
Well, if I move from here, I will move southward.
How about Mentone?
Wow. The cell reception there is pretty terrible.
The cell reception there is shit, and that's part of the reason that the compound has to be there. That and 400 acres with rocks, boulders, open
Yeah.
fields, old
Well,
timber,
you know,
and
if
running
that
water is less than $3 million. That's another good reason.
If that old hotel was structurally sound, I would live in it.
Dude,
But
yeah.
it-
So the lot of the one that burned down, you know, is still for sale right there as you come into town. That lot is for sale, and the trading post right across the street, that's what they used to call the place. That lot is for sale. So
Wow.
both corners of downtown are for sale. The inn right there on the other corner is still operable. You know, that this is like the second inn. The original old inn burned down.
Yeah.
But all of that land is for sale, dude. Now, you know, I mean, I'm starting to hint at visions here, but we got plans.
Well, you know, there are dozens of properties around there that somebody was going to start a campground and never got it done.
There are. See, that's what I mean, dude. I have found large 300, 400 acre parcels that they advertise as, you know, some of them even already have the zip lines in, you know, it's
Yeah.
people, as you say, that got an idea and then thought their way out of it. But the land's cheap compared to the rest of the world. I shouldn't have said that. The land's so fucking expensive. Do not look at
Do
Alabama.
not look at it.
Yeah.
Do not look at it.
It sucks here. We're mean.
Taxes are
Our
terrible.
dogs are ferocious.
Yep, the schools are worse.
Schools suck. Buzzards everywhere. They come down. They don't even wait for you to die. They try to rip flesh off of you. It's fucking awful here.
The Institute Park is amazing. Just you need to go there. Just not, do not
You know,
mind.
it's heaven on earth, and you know, it's no secret. That's where I do all my filming, and that's where I'm gonna try to position myself one day.
The New River
okay.
Canyon is an amazing place,
It's-
all aspects. And so is Lookout Mountain. That's a whole different
It
ballgame. though.
is, and it's huge. Look out mountain area. You know, all the way up in Tennessee, you can trace this fun stuff.
Well, the
Um,
escarpment's 100 miles across.
Well, whether or not I get you moved, Rick, I am going to get you for a week or so in the DeSoto Lodge, and we are going to go have some fun there before all this shit's said and done.
That'll work. I have a cross-quarter date coming up next month. I think I'm going to try to visit a guy here in Indiana who has a property with alignments and several mounds and other features, and he wants me to come look at it. I just
Stop
got to get
telling
everything
him.
arranged.
Let's hope you
Excellent.
can get a cameraman to do this.
Sorry, Jacqueline.
I'm sorry.
Let's hope you can get a cameraman to go with you.
Well, actually, he's got quite a bit of photo and video already accumulated. And he's done good work as far as longitude, latitude, alignments, headings, everything. He just wants me to sit in person.
Okay, guys.
It's that
Well,
time.
Yeah, exactly.
Are we at that time? I think, end while you're ahead. I feel very, very good about our experiment tonight, and I feel very good and thankful for every single person that came and helped us by hanging out in the audience and just giving us the support, guys. It can't be overstated how much that means and how much that helps us, especially in these early formative, days of trying to find a mission and put it out to you guys in a good format. That's it. Thank you all so much, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers, thank you. I was
Say
hoping
good night,
that-
Gracie. We're going to come off with a sign off. We've got to come up with a sign off, but I don't want to throw out a bullshit one. That's why I haven't. Yeah. We'll-
Theme song.
We don't know how to create an intro and an outro yet because the streaming goes directly to YouTube, so I don't know how to do it. But and I was hoping that Vince could join us before we finish, but he didn't appear, so I hope he's well.
Right.
And thank you very much for all of you that've been watching. And go watch those 2 episodes of Lost America that I'm going to repost again. It's episode 9 and episode 10. One of them is with Lee Pennington. And that's it. Check our sister podcast, Universe Unveiled. And they are going to come up. What's the name of the guest, Jason?
Ed Barnhart, the archaeologist,
Barnhart,
the
yeah.
Mayan specialist. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
he
it's
has
coming up here
hundreds
soon.
of documentaries done or something like that. And
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Ed Barnhart
History
is.
Channel and so it's
Ed Barnhart's the guy in South America. If you want any street cred in South America, you got to hang out with Ed Barnhart. Luke Caverns is always bragging on, I hung out with Ed Barnhart years ago. It's he's serious cat and a serious not only educator.
And it's not a block
But his-
academic, which I like.
Right, he's like what we've been praising Rick here for. He's just full of it. He's I don't mean shit. He's full of the knowledge and the wisdom, and it just seems to come out of him and off of him.
I need to talk to him.
Yeah, I think one of those conversations is probably in our future, no doubt.
hope
Just from
so.
the little bit I've seen of him, yeah, and great individual,
We can arrange
extraordinary.
it. We can arrange it.
Yeah, I do hope we'll be speaking to him soon.
We have-
We're in no hurry because our sister podcast, we trade guests, but we always allow a lot of time in between, just so.
Yeah, but we have a plan that Sarah brought since the beginning, that is to have a channel dedicated to debates. So it would be very interesting to have Ed and Rick, for instance, having a conversation and we just being moderating it in the
Yeah.
middle. And so many.
I have questions.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. Exactly.
So-
Yeah, so that's what's down the pike, guys. Lots of exciting stuff. We love you all. We thank you all. Now, Jacob, my little dog, is going to kill me if I don't go take him out to pee. You guys find me on X, find us on YouTube, find us right here at the home of the Institute of Natural Philosophy. If you are an independent researcher, educator, or communicator like ourselves, come find us, guys. Come talk to us. We're right here. Ricardo, press that magic button. Good night, guys.